Does Does anyone else also read the title and thought that that was what the movie was gonna be? No? Just me? Okay. Hello, hi to all of you, my lovely NBs, ladies and gents. My name is Ash, and this is a Doofus Reviews a Movie, where I, the doofus in question, reviews a movie. Now, I want to take you back to the time of happier days, the year of our Lord, 2024. So 2024, this odd movie captivated my attention with its artsy and eerie visual, the bold way Neon promotes the movie with the ARG event, and also the rare commitment to show only the bare minimum of imagery in its trailer, including concealing the main star that drives up the hype. Nicolas Cage, the elusive man himself, is like a cryptid at this point. Cryptid of movies. Always showing up in wacky projects. You don't know where he comes from, where he goes. And that man was supposed to play a serial killer. And the trailer is just taunting you to come and find out what he looks like because they're not showing you a thing. It's like, oop, I don't know, that's all you're gonna get. You don't just do that unless you have a confidence that the thing will deliver. And deliver it does. Now, looking back at the marketing and the way Neon, the distributor, promote this thing, it's so damn effective. And it is wild to me that more movies don't use this kind of promotional stunt often. Like with the rise of ARGs and YouTube horror content, the likes of The Backrooms, The Walton Files, it's such a new generational thing that I'd like to see more. This, however, isn't a video about that. I think that covering the ARG has been done very beautifully by other YouTubers already. I watched this video by Rainbot and they cover the whole thing really well. It's very thorough. In fact, there are far more qualified and thorough people out there that I can't compete. So I'm setting myself apart. I am here to dissect the parts that I personally like and present a sort of theory, or at least just some new perspective that could bring discussion. But okay, before all of that, I gotta admit, as much as I love the movie and I was at the edge of my seat the whole time, I know that I have a bias. Micah Monroe plays the main character so damn well. She was in It Follows, and she was great in it. It Follows probably one of the all-time best horror movie ever, in my opinion. And you also have Nick Cage bringing in 200% of everything he got into everything he does, sometimes to the detriment of the project, but still, I recognize passion, whatever form it takes. The point being that I was gonna be entertained no matter what. However, upon finishing the movie, I came across a feeling that I don't think I've ever felt before. The slow pacing, the way things unraveled, the ending, that ending. I keep asking myself, what was the point of all of this? And I mean plot-wise, okay? I feel like I'm missing something and I needed to dig deeper because it was such a hollow ending, unsettling, and something was left lingering in the air. What was this movie trying to show me? Okay, girl, I know it's a very vague question, but my uneasiness was as much abstract as the question itself. And I'm not saying that it's a bad ending or it lessens the movie to be vague. I'm saying that the movie left me wanting answers. Or maybe that I hadn't paid attention hard enough, or maybe something was missing. And so I spent some time just thinking about what had happened and why things are happening. Because admittedly, sometimes I get into a movie so much I run on autopilot, just letting it wash all over me and focusing on the moment and just blurring out all of the finer details. So probably like everyone else, I took to YouTube, I searched for ending explained, and explaining the allegory and the symbolism and very biblical nature of all of the ciphers and the codes and the satanic symbols and whatnot. And after watching those, I'm just confused. So, no. What am I missing that isn't some secret code or symbol or a Bible passage study? And then something clicks. After the second watching, the answer I was seeking was simple. It's right there. It's simple yet very unnerving. And honestly, I fell in love with this movie even harder for trying to understand it. So let's talk about it. So, the first thing that I noticed that wasn't ever obviously stated in the movie, but it kind of flipped the movie on its axis once you see it, and it came at the very start of the movie. A lie. Of a bold-faced lie that the movie wanted us to believe. Wait. Maybe I went too soon, and I should have explained the more general stuff, just in case you haven't seen the movie and you need like a quick summary of what's going on. So the movie is essentially a crime thriller gone satanic. You have the detective, or in our case, the FBI lady, chasing down a serial killer, which is Longlegs. But of course, one of the twists being that odd test scene that just came out of nowhere at the start of the movie, telling us, hey, Lee is maybe special. She maybe have supernatural ability, maybe. At least the FBI thinks so. And so along the journey, we see a lot more satanic influences and rituals that kind of solidifies that, yes, in this world, supernatural things do exist. This isn't just like a dude who like stabs people or whatever. Also, what are you doing here if you haven't seen the movie? Like, go watch it. I'd recommend you go in blind because I'm talking heavy spoilers here. It is not too late, babe. This is your last chance. Okay, where were we? We learned that Lee's a psychic, the test, yada. Okay, so we follow our main character, Lee Harker, an FBI rookie being deployed for her first job. She was to get out there and knock on some doors in the neighborhood in search of a murderer. Not Longlegs, just another guy. And during this mission, she discovered she had some kind of, let's say, a strong intuition that then leads her to finding exactly which house the murderer was hiding. The job went sideways, she brought him in, and then they sat her down in this dark room and a projector flashing pictures at her as she was given odd questions like word associations and guessing numbers. We know that this test is the FBI checking to see if Lee has psychic abilities or not. It's very odd, but a very fantastic piece of world building to have, especially right after you open the story. Like, what do you mean the FBI just sorta already have a protocol for this? A Blade Runner-esque baseline test to measure one's psychicness? It makes your mind wonder, like, so the FBI have had psychic people working for them before? Whether that fact is true or not doesn't really matter. The point is for you to ponder the possibility and for your mind to fill in the blanks. And now that we're here, I want you to throw all of that out of the window, babe. Just forget it all because Lee is not a psychic. Okay, so to understand this, later on in the story, we found out about the creepy child-sized dolls that was connected to the birthday murder somehow. We learned that Longlegs was this doll maker, and he would create a creepy double of all of the birthday girl target that has some kind of weird mind influencing effects on all of the family when they are placed inside the house. And it allows the murders to be carried out by the family members themselves. Okay, now that you're caught on, why am I telling you this? Because later on, we know that Lee had a doll of herself too that her mother kept. To simply put, her mom was Longlegs' accomplice because she made a choice that spares Lee from being a victim. This doll, as the movie put it, made her forget and tells her where to look.
The doll made the little girl forget and told her where to look. and what not to see.
Sounds familiar, huh? Mm-hmm. And who is telling her to look? Well, the big reveal of this movie is that all of this is the work of good old Satan, or the movie calls him Mr. Downstairs. So okay, in the very haunting scene of Longlegs finally being face to face with Lee, this tell-all scene gives you a pretty good idea on what is actually going on. Longlegs picks a target, makes the doll, comes to their house, offer a choice.
Crimson or clover. Accept the gift and destroy it. And destroy yourself. Or keep it. And bow down.
So the parents either joined, which then means keeping the doll and its influence to kind of hide what they're doing from their children so that their children could be spared, or they refuse to join and they off themselves. We know now that Lee's mom chose the former, while every other families chose the latter. That's why all of the murders happen. Lee is an exception because she quote-unquote survived, but the evil still latched on to her parasitically. Which I can't tell you which one is worse, honestly. Now, so you know that Mr. Downstairs ultimately still has one hand on the wheel on Lee's mind the whole time. It explains a lot better about Lee's very dodgy ability. She wasn't a psychic, she was just being given direction by the devil who done all of the crime in the first place. That's why when the chief confronts her how he felt things worked out too well since she signed on, turns out her dad just secretly works at the murder factory. She's just getting grade A intel from Goat Papa. But another proof of this that we can see is during the scene after her mother had blown off Lee's doll and seemingly, I guess, the fog in her brain cleared up. I think that's what this scene is implying. This scene means that Mr. Downstairs is no longer in her head, right? When she woke up in the basement and then she went upstairs, Mr. Downstairs then called her on the phone to remind her that her chief's daughter's birthday is right now. Why would that phone call be necessary if she has psychic powers? The fact that Mr. Downstairs now had to manually call her means that he's no longer incapable of influencing her anymore. So there's no more psychic powers for Lee. Okay, after knowing that, you might have the same question that I would, which is why? Why would this all-powerful being who had created these ritualistic self-murders that had gone unsolvable for many, many years, not a single breakthrough from the best FBI detective, because it's just such a strange case. Okay, why do all of that and then give all the answers away to Lee? Because from what we can tell, the murder were showy, but they weren't meant to be solved at all. After all, the dad is usually the perpetrator, and I think that's it. The cops doesn't really need more. Every single murder could have been written off as dad gone crazy and off his family and himself. It is so easy to just put that label on. Of course, the other component being that they all had written letters left in the crime scene containing ciphers that might be a sign that they're leaving a breadcrumb of acknowledgement for someone to solve eventually. Maybe. But to decode a cipher, you also need to have a key, a way to solve it. You actually have to give people a way to solve your riddle. And the only time a clue appears is miraculously hand-delivered to Lee by who we assume to be Longlegs himself. So why? Why create an unsolvable crime and maintain its secrecy for years, only then freely give the key away to Lee? And now, it's finally a good time to loop back to the first question of, what was the point? Okay, babes, I know how it might sound, but I need you to stick with me for a little bit here and indulge my ramblings. Just to be clear, I'm not proposing like Silent Hill dog ending, okay? I'm not talking about like horror jokey endings like, ooh, this is all just a wacky dream. I'm proposing something more existential. Let's talk about a big theme of this movie that is just everywhere. You won't miss it. I'm talking about birthdays. And this theme of birthday and twisted parental love is there so that we understood what the culmination of everything is about. And remember, now that we have demystified the psychicness of Lee, and in turn proving just how much Mr. Downstairs is in control, now we can see everything from a different framing. Like the first mission, that's Mr. Downstairs guiding her into the exact location of the killer to give her a bump in her career. Notice how odd it is for that killer to be so eager to kill Lee's partner for knocking on his door, but then surrenders at the sight of her. That is such a specific and odd set of circumstance. It's too convenient, as if someone set that up to give her a bump in career so that she would get assigned to the birthday murders. What else? The birthday card, containing the key to the cipher nobody has managed to crack yet for years. That is just obviously a special treat. Like, she just gets hand-delivered a clue, you know? For the birthday girl. Because the closer she gets to the crime, then the closer it is for her to find out that she has a place in all of this. It is closer to her now that she remembers. Because after that, it's like domino. Everything falls faster and faster. She remembers meeting Longlegs. She remembers the Polaroid. She remembers that maybe there was some inkling of her mother's involvement in all this, which snowballed into the arrest of Longlegs and then the interrogation scene. And this whole thing right here is what happening. Don't you think that it's kind of absurd? The circumstance, I mean. Like, okay, do you know how special you have to be for Satan to just send his best guy to get captured? He packed up and he just camped out at the nearest bus stop. And after what he had done, after creating the dolls, after killing innocent families, what was his last purpose that he was supposed to do?
Happy birthday, Lee Harker.
It was to wish Lee Harker a happy birthday. Sang a song for her and everything. Girl, you are clearly the favorite child. Of course, this and the inevitable face-to-face with Longlegs is just a big show of power, right? There's this sort of weird parental tone to the way that Longlegs speaks to her. He's so quick at snapping between the deranged devil worshipper to like a parent who is happy to see their child. And this tell-all scene is acted beautifully, by the way. I understand that Nick Cage can be Nick Cagey. I sincerely think that his over-the-topness really works well in the scene. After all, you are in a room alone with the infamous serial killer. I feel like his antics only amplifies how truly insane and broken he sounds. Anyway, back to the scene. After laying everything down on the table for Lee to figure out, we then see this gruesome death scene with him slamming his head on the table and just looking eager and smiling. And then there he lies. His last work is over. And then before you know it, you then realize that his last service to the Dark Lord is just to be a little messenger boy for a girl's birthday. He's essentially reduced to a McDonald's employee singing happy birthday to the special kid. And he's so damn happy to do it. I think after all that's been shown to us, it is clear what this movie is telling you over and over again, that Lee is never in control, that her story is written for her by a higher being whom we ever saw lurking in the shadows. Her whole childhood has been under his control, and her career, her existence, her suffering now, it's all just a big game. We are dealing with an Ari Aster plot, everybody. And I swear to God, I always get war flashback to Toni Collette screaming at me every time I encounter this kind of plot. But I love it though. It's so devious. The despair of understanding just how powerless you are, and there's like an unknown entity deciding your fate for you. It's this is the realization that haunts me when I was analyzing the plot of the movie, and it made me fall in love with the movie harder. It made me look deeper. It made me cherish all of the seemingly hollow dialogue between Lee and Carrie Ann, Lee and her mom, Lee and Longlegs. Those scenes take on a whole new meaning once you unpack the inner workings of this movie. But let's think about the surprising switch of genre here for a second. This movie was promised to me to be this Silence of the Lamb or Seven, essentially a detective story chasing down a serial killer. And it ended up being, I guess, what I would describe as a Lovecraftian horror type of plot. Think about it. You have the unspeakable horror, the omniscient being that is pulling all of the string smack dab in the middle of everything. And the whole story is just painful reminders that there are forces outside of your control that are beyond the rule of mankind, that just they puppeteered your life, and whatever you do won't matter. Nothing matters compared to this all-powerful being. Let's come back to that odd ending scene that I talked about at the start of the video, but now with the added knowledge, it only amplifies the emotional turmoil and despair that Lee experienced all at once. I mean, it is just straight up cruel, leaving the ending in a way that only solidifies just how much the goal of the whole movie is just basically to fuck with her on her birthday. I think normally you would think the interrogation scene is already devastating enough for Lee, like her whole purpose, her job, to hunt down this man, and then this man just walks in freely at his own accord and then just off himself in front of her. I mean, there goes your whole mission. But the final scene to me is Satan's final nail in the coffin, I feel like. The killing blow, or I guess in a more twisted way, his last gift to finally make Lee see her mother as who she actually is. Because this person whom you thought is safe, a maternal figure that you would never even dare to suspect of doing any sort of harm to anyone, Lee now get to watch her in action, basically. And then also the realization that her mom will keep on doing this. She will never stop. She will continue to serve until the day she dies, and it is all to protect Lee. It is all in the name of Lee. Again, twisted parental love. It is at the core of everything. And it left Lee with no other choice but to shoot. And then, hold on, we're not done here. To add the cherry on top, the movie had the gall to end with Lee reminiscing the eerie voice of Longlegs, singing to her happy birthday. And then we cut to him in the cell going, "Hail Satan," in the most cuntiest way possible, while giving the audience, while staring down the camera, a big wet kiss. It is just so devious. I mean, the audacity of it all. It is just basically Satan going, "Yeah, bitch, I really did all of that for her birthday." So now we went from me thinking that the ending is hollow to me thinking, this is an awesome ending. No joke. Before I can wrap up the video, we have to talk about some interviews that the actors were doing during the press run. There are a couple of tidbits of production lore that stuck out to me. One of those things being, apparently Micah Monroe wasn't allowed to see the appearance of Longlegs until that interrogation scene face to face, so that her reaction is genuine. I think I heard a similar type of method being used in one of the Alien movies, or was it like Predator? I'll just let editor Ash fact check that. But the other more interesting fact is something that I found in this interview specifically, where Nick talks about his process of getting into the character, the internal ongoings of that. It's really fascinating hearing actors talk about how they prepare for a role and how they themselves define the characters. He essentially talked about how he found Longlegs by taking inspiration from his mom. He said that Oz, the director, told him the whole concept of the movie was inspired by Oz's mom. And so Nick Cage sorta took the same approach and applied his own mom into the role. How morbid is that? I mean, being an artist myself, I like to take childhood stuff and bring it to the forefront through art in a way that's healing for me. I completely understand what he means, but it's still a crazy interesting lore that Longlegs is inspired by Nick Cage's own mom. And if you think that's interesting, wait till you hear this.
And it was also important to me that since Longlegs is kind of spawned from hell, that he should have both polarities. I wanted the character he, she to be androgynous.
Look, the first time I heard that, I was like, no way. Because androgyny is a very powerful characteristic that I myself adores and seek. I think that what Nick is doing is using the mystique of androgyny because there's an aura of mystery and eccentricity that comes with it. And it totally makes so much sense for him to delve into that and try to channel it through the role. He has to deliver an iconic performance. And he does. I like when someone brings up the topic of androgyny because I can gush about it all day long, but I don't think I will. This rant is going on long enough. Though, one thing that I would say is when you have an androgynous character in a show or in a movie and they have like white long hair, oh, you got my attention, buddy.
Huh?
Hey, Editor Ash here. I just want to do a quick clarification because I didn't mean to sound like I was gushing over Longlegs. I said white long hair, and like a dumbass, I forgot that Longlegs has white long hair. So, what I meant to say was, and I should have been more specific, it's like, who's that? The white-haired boy from Inuyasha, Sesshomaru. Yeah, and also Luis from Brothers Conflict. Yeah, that. Again, no, I don't have the hots for Longlegs. I should have been more specific, but I am a doofus, so okay, sorry. If you made it this far, I appreciate you so much. This is my first ever video. I design, draw, and edit everything myself. That's why it is very scuffed. I know. But hey, you gotta start somewhere. Also, write down in the comments your thoughts about the movie. Did you like it? Did you not? Tell me your own interpretations of things. I'd love to hear it. I have an Insta and a Kara account if you want to give them a follow and see my artworks and whatnot. But yeah, thank you again for watching. I hope this video makes your day just a little bit better. I've been your chronic yapper Ash. Bye. Love you.